Joining me now to discuss civil rights attorney Avery Friedman and criminal defense attorney Richard Herman. Good to see you both.
Good to see you, Frederica.
All right, Avery, you first. Do you think this latest accusation could indeed lead to an arrest?
Well, you know, that's the big question here. Robert Boyce, who's chief of detectives here in New York, says the evidence is credible. As you said, we're well within the statute. And also we have the motives here, the motive and the opportunity. So the fact is that we're heading toward an arrest, I believe, in terms of meeting that probable cause standard. And I think that's really where police here in New York are saying it. Believe me, the media, the front page here on all the newspapers, except the Times, I guess, is basically that Weinstein is toast, and there's a big wanted poster on another one. So at least from here, the sense is New York's going after this guy.
So, Richard, what are you thinking? Because De La Huerta did give these details to her therapist, didn't necessarily report it to police right away, but was inspired by other women who have their accusations as to why she's decided to share her account. And this happening in her apartment, she says, twice.
Well, Fred, this is an event that allegedly took place 7 years ago, and no charges or complaints were filed then with law enforcement. So it's very difficult to bring a case 7 years down the road when, in Ms. De La Huerta's case, it happened 1 week, and then 2 weeks later, she invited him back up to her apartment, and it allegedly happened again. If this is the best case that the New York District Attorney's Office has, I think that they're in big trouble. I don't think her case in and of itself is going to be enough to sustain a conviction against Mr. Weinstein, because I think on cross-examination she's going to get annihilated because of the 2 week span and it happening again. I think consent will play into this as a defense. But when you use consent as a defense, and I had a long talk with famed attorney Jeff Brown about this today, that will allow in what's known as prior bad acts to prove that intent, or in the federal system 404B. And in this case, the judge will probably allow in the prosecution to put 6 or 7 or 8 of these complainants who complained that Harvey Weinstein physically assaulted them, and their stories will get played out in front of the jury. And then when you get one on top of another on top of another, it doesn't matter anymore what Ms. De La Huerta said. The evidence is there in front of the jury, and they look at him and they say, wow, you must have done it. Conviction. So he's going to be in a tough bind in New York. A lot of pressure for the DA to bring it, because they botched a prior case years ago when they had evidentiary audio tape.
Well, that might get in.
Charges,
that might get in as one of the prior acts. That's right.
It may be. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
So then, Avery, even if there isn't physical evidence because of consistencies in complaints or reports of accusations, that would potentially all be collected in a potential case against Harvey Weinstein? Well,
I think so. I mean, one of the important issues here is credibility, and at least according to the chief of detectives, it's there. And part of the reason for that is that it was reported concurrent with the events to at least 2 people. There may be more witnesses that we don't know about, Frederica, but the bottom line is credibility is everything in these kind of cases, and at least according to NYPD here, they're saying it's there.
And then, Richard...
Fred, the problem, when people talk and give statements and interviews in cases like this, you have the shrink who she supposedly told at or about the time that this happened. The shrink's statement was she wasn't strong enough to say no. Well, if she didn't say no, then it's consent, and that's a defense.
That's not consent, Richard.
Big problems in getting a conviction based on Ms. De La Huerta's version of events, Fred. But again, it's going to be the overflow with other testimony coming in. The case becomes a sideshow, and it may be overwhelming for a jury, and so Weinstein will have himself a few sleepless nights on this one.
So, Avery, is it that simple? It has to be verbally stated no?
No.
And without that, then it's consent?
I mean, look at the difference in power. You've got a big-time producer. You have a young actress. This is the modus operandi of what's being alleged here. And the fact that she didn't say no, she said she gave the signals to no, but in a way, victims like this have a very difficult time dealing with power. And like in this case, it takes time to surface with help. So I don't think that's very credible in terms of what a defense is going to be here.
Richard,
two times, Fred, within 2 weeks, and the promise of getting a play. I don't know, Fred. It's going to be tough to get a conviction on this case.
It
Gotta
certainly doesn't
understand
sound
the
very
victim.
simple. All right, Avery Friedman, Richard Herman, always good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.